protection? What if somebody tries to mug you? What? What if your government tries to throw you in a can? What? You're gonna want a shotgun. Oh. What? An automatic rifle. And a lot of ammo. Gun?
We're all set to riot! Buy a gun! Before you lose your Second Amendment! Buy a gun! They'll burn you out like a Waco! They'll stick your ass in a camp! Jackbooted cops in riot gear gonna kick your ass and laugh! The revolution is on its way! Better lock and load your AK! Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun! Buy a gun, buy a gun, buy a gun, buy a gun, buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun! We're all set to riot! Buy a gun! Before you lose your Second Amendment! Buy a gun! Before gave your money to the banksters, they stole your pension funds! It's time that we took to the streets, it's time we had our turn! A revolution is on its way, and the founding fathers would say, buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun! Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun! Get a riot in the streets! Revolution's not clean and neat, you got a riot in the streets!
Ladies and gentlemen, it is Tuesday. It is election night. This is Primer Time on UCY.tv. My name is Michael, and I voted.
I'm Nicholas. I also voted, but I did it 3 weeks in advance, and we are taking it live, just like everybody else tonight.
I would like to stress that my vote is not necessarily an endorsement of my candidate. It was merely the loudest, most direct and effective way to say fuck you, Hillary Clinton, that I possibly could think of at this point.
And I think that probably 3/4 of the country probably feels the same way you do. However, half of that number probably is just so enamored with her that this is going to be one of those things that either the people who are so thoroughly disgusted by her will overtake the people who are just only a little disgusted by her, or the other way around.
I don't really see there being that many people being enamored with her and her fantastic ways and her she's not relatable. She's not the people's champ. That's for damn sure. Let's take a look at the numbers.
I know a lot of people that would like to give her a people's elbow. That's for sure.
The people's elbow. Can't she smell what I am cooking?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. If she wins, she's cooking up confiscation.
Oh,
so tonight is kind of an interesting night. It's it could be the first night to the rest of our lives, so to speak. And we're probably going to focus a little bit more on live events going on, considering it's quite stupendous and the hugest event of the year, so to speak. Nick, what we got numbers-wise right now?
Oh, so depending upon which media outlet of your choice you choose to follow, I'm tracking live 3 different ones. I'm tracking the Yahoo feed, the New York Times feed, and the Google feed. Google is Dutch or Flemish for the Google, and the interesting thing is that Yahoo's results are updated every minute. And you say Google's is updated about every 0.52 seconds right now, and New York Times kind of somewhere maybe a little bit outside that margin. But the headline on New York Times is razor thin margins for candidates in battleground states. And first one right off the bat that I want to talk about is Virginia, a state very near and dear to me, and I'm very, very surprised. Quite shocked actually that the Trumpmeister is doing as well as he is, which realistically, by two different accounts, he's winning now by almost 4.5 percentage points, with 77% of the precincts reporting. That's a sizable lead, considering that Virginia has gone true blue in the last two elections, and there is a governor in this state who is a Clinton surrogate par excellence in Terry McAuliffe. And
then you also have to look at that Clinton's vice president was once governor of your state.
Yeah, and not only that, he's a sitting senator. So, this if Clinton does not carry Virginia, that is going to throw off quite a few election maps, because when you're also talking about battleground states, Donald Trump has picked up votes in Ohio and Florida. So you're talking, in Florida, we're looking at a state with 76% of the precincts reporting. You've got 4.3 million votes for Donald Trump to 4.2 million votes for Clinton right now. And, there's a lot of gun-toting folks in Florida. Just feel free to ask Trayvon Martin about that. And you'll see that it's one of those states that has brought us such things as the hanging Chad. I don't know if you remember that. That was pretty good. Stop me if you've heard that.
I remember the hanging Chad, and appears that could possibly be another situation.
Breaking news. The North Carolina electoral vote has just swung back in favor of Donald Trump, 48.8% to 48.6% for Clinton.
Okay, on the Google, it says that Trump has got it by less than 1,000 votes in North Carolina. He's looking at about a 700 vote lead. This is fairly interesting. This is completely against what I thought would happen. I personally thought that Hillary would win and win strong and win decisively.
Certainly, and not only that, based on when you talk about the candidates' ground game, we're not only just talking about the candidates themselves. We are talking about their surrogates. And one of the things that quite a few people have talked to me in government circles in the last couple of days, look at the number of surrogates that have fanned out in support of Clinton. Over the last couple of days, you have a seated president, a seated vice president, her vice president nomination, as well as the current first lady and a former president. That's five folks with very high standing in that party getting out and being. And
then you have to look at what she's getting that is outside of the party politics and the quote unquote adult area, and she's now looking towards the uninformed voter, and she's recently just had a concert with Jay-Z, and which, by the way, you should look up the YouTube video of Jay-Z and Beyonce introducing Hillary at the concert, and Hillary comes out, and she'd also like to give a shout out to Big Sean and Little Gip and she started reading off all these rap names in the way that she is prone to name drop, and it rang so hollow. Like, I want to give a shout out to the niggers with attitude, and it was just really just pathetic. And the next night she changed up the demographic and she went for the Katy Perry voter. And this morning on CNN, they had an extra jubilant Tim Kaine who got to manipulate the mouth organ on stage with John Bon Jovi. So, America.
I'll tell you what. Stop me if you heard this one. But doesn't Tim Kaine resemble a very psychotic Jack Nicholson from The Shining?
Tim Kaine is the kind of guy I wouldn't leave alone with 10 Cub Scouts.
Yeah, he's got the pedo. He's got the pedo.
Read into that
the mustache.
Right. Read into that what you may, but yeah, I wouldn't leave that dude alone with kids.
Now, speaking of somebody you don't want to leave alone with kids, John Podesta.
Man, I'll tell you what. This is outside the PrimerTime normal purview here. But this is something that's really interesting that's come to light in the last couple of days, thanks to WikiLeaks and honestly, some intrepid 400-pound hackers, like Trump referred to them, sitting in the basement.
Living in their parents' basement.
All doped up on Mountain Dew and Cheetos.
God bless Cheetos.
I find this to be so shocking, yet at the same time, it's not necessarily something that truly shocks me. I mean, we've always made the joke about they ate babies, and it may be true.
Well, it turns out,
as the evidence shows. Okay, so I guess I don't even know where to start with this stuff. Let's start with some spirit cooking, I guess, and. You want to bust out the recipe for spirit cooking since we've already said the F word on tonight's show?
Yeah, I guess that means you can say semen, breast milk, and dog food, as long with the blood of your middle hand.
And you must drink it on an earthquake night. And don't worry, if you do it in public, it's just art. But if you do it in private, it's a ceremony. And we're referring to Marina Abramovic, who carries the Twitter handle Abramovic M666, and she is a Serbian artist per wiki that has been updated since the drop. If you go back and you look at the manipulations in Wikipedia, it shows that she's not necessarily referred to as a Serbian artist until this happened. She's referred to as a Jewish artist before this. This gets into the territory of what is referred to as blood libel, and blood libel is I guess you can look at somebody like, or an organization like the ACLU or the Anti-Defamation League, and they would blood libel is just a complete and utter lie, and this is falsehoods. Yet throughout history, we've had reports of these, and there's varying levels of veracity to it, but it always ends up with a dead kid, and well, to be honest, Moisha's behind it.
Oh,
and
speaking of Moisha, Chris Matthews may not be feeling the moist feeling or tingly feeling because the Googla and the New York Times have just updated their maps to show Michigan as red, as well as North Carolina. Here's a significant thing: is that Michigan has been polling in the direction of Trump over the last few days. And Colorado has just swung right back into Trump's favor with 3,000 more votes than Clinton.
Wow. Well, hey, let's finish up this pedo pizza thing, because this is actually kind of.
Oh gosh, this is something that proves once again child molesters have no redeeming value and cannot be rehabilitated.
No, none left on society, man. I mean, you can't redeem these sons of bitches. You can't fix them. They're broken from the factory, I guess.
So let's talk about Laura Ling and a friend of hers that were taking a photo with a young Asian girl and eating pizza. What do you make of that?
On the surface, the picture itself is fairly interesting. Then you get into the comments, and this is what is kind of the underlying theme through all of these. There's a whole series of photographs that really kind of look innocent, and we'll even include in the photographs the company logos, and these companies for some reason center around pizza places that are sort of entertainment themed pizza places. One is a pizza and ping pong, and then one is a pizza place that specializes in odd toppings on pizza, so to speak. And
let's talk about walnut sauce.
Yeah. Then you start. See, this is. I mean, I don't even know how to address this, man, because we sound like crazy men talking about it. But honestly, this is insanity stuff that we're trying to discuss. This is the bowels of humanity. These are the monsters we were told about as children. This is the boogeyman. This is the chupacabra. This is El Cucuy. This is whatever comes to and eats the baby in the middle of the night. These are your people in your government. These are your elected representatives. These are your hand chosen officials in the cabinets. And like for anything. Spirit Cooking Pedo Pizza is a wonderful search term at this time.
Oh, yeah. And, the interesting part about this is, for those of you who don't remember, Laura Ling is the sister of a reporter by the name of Lisa Ling, who was employed by Al Gore through a couple of his different ventures, first starting out with something called Channel 1 TV, which was broadcast through quite a few of our nation's high schools as
I'm old enough to remember when Channel 1 came in and we got it in our classroom, and that was right about, I want to say maybe 87.
Yeah, we had it in 95, and from about 91 to 95 of the inclusive years for my high school career, most of which I wasn't there for, by the way, and proof to the pudding that you can still graduate and show up about 30% of the time. Woohoo! Lisa Ling was one of the reporters that was covering the Northridge earthquake in Los Angeles. I would say that was 94. So, these are folks who have been in the employ of leaning folks towards the blue side of the fence for quite a while.
Yeah, and we can call them exactly what they are. They're the neo-Bolsheviks. And
Yep.
so anyway, so she went missing, and whatever rumors you want to assign to Kim Jong-un, it's safe to say that he doesn't live by standard Western Christian values, so to speak. And and we can also ascribe the same to a former president, Bill Clinton. And man, I almost hesitate to talk about this, but it's very, very serious, and it's serious to the point that I think it brings the whole corrupt temple down, and not just this current temple, but the past 5 iterations of the temple. We start looking at this, and this isn't the first time that this kind of child sex exploitation goes on with our elected officials. I mean, for Christ's sakes, Barney Frank was running Barney Frank's roommate, quote unquote, was running a gay escort service out of his living room, and he had no clue. We can look back at, into the Reagan administration, and there was, the Franklin cover-up, which had a whole bunch of, boys from Boys Town, which is kind of like an orphanage for, rowdy youths. And those guys started becoming, prostitutes and, call boys in the middle of the night, being shuttled to, Omaha, and then, put onto airplanes and flown to the White House. You've got the story of Johnny Gosch / Jeff Gannon and his questionable history and, his association with George W. Bush. There's a history of this stuff. I mean, not to mention the fact that, in the words of Colin Powell, Bill Clinton was dicking every bimbo he could get his hands on, Yeah,
well, and you would have to have somebody handle bimbo eruptions, right?
Right. Because what was it? Drag the $100 bill through the trailer park and see what turns up.
That's James Carville.
Yeah, and he was referring to Paula Jones at that time, and so you're looking at Hillary, who's not necessarily a champion of women. She's not necessarily a champion of the poor. She's very classist. She has already revealed that she believes that more than half of you are deplorables.
Yeah, that's interesting.
She's up to her neck in this pedo thing, and I mean, I'm telling you, to the point of where these pizza places have, just like any other business, has a logo. Well, the FBI has a I guess it's like an alert page or an info page that shows like what the international pedophile rings use logos too. Well, sure enough, these pizza places and all these other assorted businesses that also happen to be within like the same general area, very, very close to each other, they all happen to use like kind of variations and stylizations of these pedophile logos. And it's like mind-blowing. I mean, it's mind-blowing, but it's totally expected. I mean, these are...
Well, let's get back to the Laura Ling connection here. Laura Ling, like I said, she's a news reporter of no import. I mean, she's not a major player on any network station. Those of you might remember, she was she was conducting a investigative report into children crossing from North Korea into China, when she alleges that her guide stranded her across the Tumen River. I'm sorry, not Tumen, but the Yalu River from China going into North Korea, where she was taken into captivity by North Korean border guards. This was a very significant black eye for American foreign policy due to the fact that Bill Clinton had to secure her release. And those of you may remember, she was actually seated for a portrait, or he was actually seated for a portrait with Kim Jong-il at the time, and had a photo taken of him not looking any too happy about being there.
Really makes you wonder what's going on behind the halls of power, and what we're being told about who the bad guy is. Because I'm going to tell you what, if you have elected officials who are trading in stolen children and doing God knows what and associating with Satanists who are, it's just satire, Goyim. To quote Mr. Charlie Hebdo, it's just performance art unless it's a satanic ceremony. What the hell are we doing?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, what the hell are we doing at this point? If we have,
there's a photo talking. I was going to say, Michael, there's a photo talking with Laura Ling, and she's with a person who was convicted of human trafficking. And, we talk about hashtag code words matter. Eating pizza, what does eating pizza mean?
To me, it would be, having a slice of the $5 hot and ready,
Yeah, to most folks, it would mean that, right?
But once again, we're not. And we look at the involvement of this Serbian woman, Marina Abramovic, and supposedly through the deft in an intrepid investigation of some of these people, it appears that the Serbian term to refer to, well, we can say it because Trump says it, the Serbian term for pussy is pichu, or picha, and it sounds very much like pizza. And pizza happens to be a code word for girls.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is, like I said, Laura is photographed with this young Asian persuasion girl, as well as the individual who was convicted of human trafficking, and they're eating pizza.
And it gets worse than that, because involved in this, and these are all in the WikiLeaks, and these are verified as being of the Podesta emails. You find that the head of the United States Commission on Human Trafficking is also involved in this, and it gets really twisted. There's all kinds of things that are going through my mind right now, and related to this, and the details are just. Seriously, we can't do it justice. Please search Spirit Cooking Pizza Children. I guess would be,
the walnut sauce on the pizza is just crazy. I don't think I've ever heard anybody. First off, I didn't know anybody that knew what walnut sauce was.
I don't even know there was a walnut sauce. I didn't know you could turn walnuts into sauce. I guess you could turn them into like walnut butter, but
Yeah. So the interesting thing is that a few analysts, very much like myself, kind of started putting one and one together. And, analysts, we look for patterns. We look for anomalies. We look for things that are alike and things that are not alike. And then we try to piece them all together and make sense of it. And, walnut sauce and pizza is not something that really gets referred to in the common vernacular. So you can probably rest assured that when you see those two together, that's probably the beginning of some kind of code. And, the interesting thing is that when it comes down to it, where is the Clinton campaign for their global initiative or the Clinton Foundation? Where do they like to operate?
Out of one of these pizza shops. And with a signed letter from Hillary herself, thank you for holding a fundraiser and providing facility for us. Which also gets into some other things, because honestly, this goes straight to the top. there's pictures of Obama on this guy who is one of the owners of one of these pizza shops who provided some sort of pizza and ping pong party at the White House. And there's Obama, playing ping pong with the child. But everybody who's tagged in the photo is some sort of creep. And that's being very, very generous. But in some of these other emails, they talk about, how the White House is spending $65,000 to bring in pizza and hot dogs to these parties. Hot dogs. What are the tube meats? What could a hot dog resemble or something like that? Well, that's really interesting and all, but that violates like Secret Service protocol. All food that goes into the White House is sourced by White House staff. Visiting chefs do not get to bring their own spice. They do not get to bring their own food. They do not get to bring their own special ingredient. If they need it, the Secret Service gets it. They do not bring in hot dogs and pizza.
Yeah, and like I said, you
seriously, who the hell spends $65,000 on hot dogs and pizza? That's the price of a brand new Chevy truck lifted 4x4 off the showroom floor, $65,000. That's a lot of hot dogs and pizza.
That's right. So the interesting thing is out there is that there's sorted and sundry crimes that are probably being committed in terms of child abduction and child trafficking with intent to. Shall we say?
Okay, we haven't even got to the best part of this, but we'll just step back a few years to a missing child named Madeleine McCann, a cute little blonde girl who went missing in Portugal. She's English, her parents were English, and she went missing. And the report was there was two men that abducted this girl, and through several eyewitnesses, and the police were exhausted and turned away, and evidence was destroyed and all that. But something very interesting about that case was they never actually released the artist sketches of what the suspects look like. Well, somebody got a hold of what those artist sketches are, and I'll be goddamned if they're not a dead ringer for John Podesta and his brother Tony. And let's discuss Tony Podesta for a second. That's John's brother. He is a registered foreign agent for Saudi Arabia and for Yemen. This man's business is to sell out the country, to act not in our interest. And his brother is Hillary Clinton's chief of staff.
Sounds
so,
like quacks like a duck and quacks like a duck to me. You probably got a duck.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I don't know about this Madeleine McCann thing. But I swear to God, the photo looks, the drawings look exactly like those two dudes. I mean, I find that one to be just a crazy coincidence. That you've got two brothers that totally don't look like each other, to be honest with you, because John Podesta is a skinny, Weasley-looking fuck, and his brother's a large, fat man. And it's not.
I think 20 years ago, I was a skinny, Weasley-looking fuck too.
No. 20 years ago, you were a young kid. This guy, how old is John Podesta? He's like, probably in his 60s, coming up on his 60s. And he's kind of got that wasting disease look, so to speak. I'm not going to speak ill of people with wasting diseases, but that's what he looks like when he's got it.
Are we talking about the HIV?
The HIV, yeah. The guy is somewhat similar to the same sort of wasting disease that looks like Bill Clinton has, And honestly, hey, look, that dude dicks bimbos everywhere, in the words of Colin Powell. Who's to say that he wasn't in Haiti dicking bimbos? And I'll tell you what, like as the joke went when we were children, what's the worst part of having AIDS? It's telling your parents that you're Haitian. I think, that has
that's
a lot
Rock
to do
Hudson died.
Yeah, no kidding, on the watermelon diet. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
So, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going down, and tonight might be the first night of the Trumpocalypse. Tonight might be the first night of the rest of your lives. Welcome to World War III, welcome to the Civil War, welcome to Dollar Crash, because, this shit's getting wild. So let's get an update on what's going on.
All right, so looking at the Googla, we are sitting at a update as of 0.59 seconds ago at 21:29 hours, and Trump's currently in the Electoral College lead at 129 to Clinton's 104, leading him with 141 needed to succeed the 270 vote threshold. Looking at the map, decidedly in Trump's favor, and with the battleground states of Virginia, North Carolina, Florida, Ohio, Michigan, and Wisconsin, and late breaking, New Hampshire has just flown back into the Trump category at 48% to 47. He's got a 900 vote lead in the state that probably doesn't have more than 900 people left to vote.
This is fairly interesting, and I like to recount the fact that I did predict a Hillary Clinton victory, but I also predicted that it would be Rahm Emanuel as her vice president. To be honest with you, I'm truly surprised. I have very little faith left in this system, as you can tell by the spirit cooking and pedophile.
Yeah, and not only that, looking at the New York Times live results forecast at 30 minutes ago when we started the show, the toss-up meter, which I guess is their forecast meter for likely.
It was 86% earlier when I saw it, and now it's showing 51%.
Oh my God!
For Clinton, and now it is 51% Trump. I guess this is
Iowa has
football,
just popped
football
up.
is down. Football ratings are down. ESPN lost 621,000 viewers in the month of September. They got to enjoy the bread and circuses, people.
Yeah, because I'll tell you right now, the states where Trump had to break through, things are kind of in disarray right now in the Clinton camp, because Donald Trump has opened up a 2.2 percentage point lead in Florida with a 92% of precincts reporting. This is 29 electoral votes at stake. Louisiana has just been called for Trump. So you could say that Donald Trump has threaded the needle from Virginia and West Virginia into Ohio and Michigan at this point, where Donald Trump has a 4% lead in Michigan with 12% reporting. And he's showing a sizable lead at this point in Wisconsin. Michigan and Wisconsin go for Trump with Ohio. I would say that he is going to build an insurmountable lead.
Well, I'll tell you what, looking at the map right now, we show a direct line with Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, and North Dakota. Watch out.
That
you snow Mexicans are getting a wall.
That's right.
You're paying for it.
Walls for everybody. We don't want no damn Saskatchewanians in there. Shout out to all our friends.
No Mexicans, keep out.
Yeah, shout out to all our good friends from Saskatchewan. Great hunting up there. Very, very close to the oil sands of Alberta. Got nothing but love for our snowbird friends. And I'll tell you what, I've seen some great soldiers come out of Canada. The Princess Patricia's Light Canadian Infantry are some stand-up guys, as well as the Cape Breton Revolutionary Front. I believe you have some stake in that game.
I'd also like to now, we are a gun show, so now that we're discussing Canada, let's discuss something that's kind of interesting and unique to Canada. They're called the Canadian Rangers, and the Canadian Rangers would be almost analogous to, I guess the National Guard in the United States, if the National Guard was about 10,000 times smaller. There's not necessarily a whole lot of training and regulation in it, and it's truly the definition of the citizen soldier. The Canadian Rangers usually comprised of a large amount of First Nations people, and
First Nations read Indians for the rest of us.
That's right. I'm trying to be polite.
And I'm not talking red dot. I'm talking woo woo.
Yeah. Casinos, not convenience stores.
There you go. Thank you. Come again.
Thank you. So anyhow, They were basically, they were the first line of defense for any kind of Soviet aggression coming across the great frozen tundra of the North. And for a long time, they had been armed with surplus British .303 rifles and at some point some Ross rifles, which are highly collectible, but not necessarily a wonderful combat piece. And it was just shown that the Canadian Rangers are now being outfitted with a 7.62 by 5.1 Ruger Scout rifle.
Yeah, and very interesting wood stock choice. Looks like some Osage orange that has been laminated. It's an interesting color scheme in the wood itself. And that's one of those things that I think that the Ruger Scout rifle really brought into play. Ruger has been known for some pretty interesting stock configurations, going from their 10/22s up through their Scout rifles and their other offerings. But the wood that is got a significant grain pattern really turns on a lot of people. And the Canadian Rangers had one that had, like I said, this orange tint to the gray wood. It was a nice visual appearance. What did you think about it?
I think that kind of laminated plywood, I think, always gives like kind of a nice look. There's some companies that do it better, and there's honestly some nations that do it better. I kind of have an affinity for some of the later Chinese stuff that was made, not with that yellow. I believe it was is what that wood was, but some of the later ones came in with some laminated and carved plywood, and some of that actually turned out fairly nice.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and
with plywood stocks. And honestly, at one point when I was working on that Project Stevens, I thought about cutting a stock out of plywood, and I would have taken probably a piece of 1 inch and probably at some point in the back would have slabbed on 2 more pieces to create, like the comb in the back. And
well, and that's one of those things that you see right here. It is a Tikka T3 rifle. Tikka is very, very well respected. They're made by Sacco, Finnish company, and they also make the Finbear rifle. In Europe, that's a very capable rifle.
And I do believe that Seiko's production wasn't necessarily able to keep up with what they needed. So I do believe that Ruger is actually making the rifle. I believe that they have a contract with both Sacco and Ruger. And
there you go. So the interesting thing is that you've got, like I said, you've got the configuration that's really you can go with the long range optics. You can go with the traditional Scout rifle profile. Detachable box magazine. This is a configurable rifle. One thing that I noticed right off the bat is that no adjustable comb, and the for being something
that almost makes sense because we have to look at the environment that this rifle is used in, and it's going to be used in quite often a frozen environment, and metal pieces and pieces that move in the cold tend to break.
Yeah, certainly. We're gonna go ahead. We're at 38 after 9 o'clock Eastern time. Give you a quick update from the New York Times. We're going to move out of the Google and go into the New York Times, showing an electoral college count of 137 to Trump, 104 to Clinton, and we're looking at states of Michigan, Ohio, still leaning red. Actually, at 14% of the vote reported in Michigan, Trump up 49.8 to 45.1 for Clinton. What do you think about the third and fourth party votes here this evening? Do you think that those are hurting Clinton more than they're helping Trump, or do you think they're helping Trump more than they're hurting Clinton?
I have a feeling that tonight, if you would have asked me this question yesterday, I would have said that any third party any third party vote was a vote against Trump. Tonight, I may have a different opinion of that as the way it's kind of shaping up here. Boy, we're looking still at a very, very close race in Virginia as well.
Certainly, and you're talking 7/10 of a percentage point. the interesting thing here is that he has maintained that, and like I said, I personally expected Virginia to remain a very light blue on the heat map, just based on the fact that Virginia's senator is in play for the vice presidency, as well as the Northern Virginia vote really does overtake the state's rural counties, which of course there are a lot more rural counties, but they just don't have the votes to overcome Northern Virginia's Loudoun and Fairfax County. What's very surprising right now is that Trump is maintaining his lead in Florida. He is actually going into North Carolina, and he is maintaining about a 2.2% lead there. And in Michigan, he has about 5% lead right now, with 15% of the vote.
And honestly, he's smashing it in Ohio as well.
Yeah,
Ohio
is at 49%. He is nearly 300,000 votes ahead, and he's at 53% to 42.7. This is one of those things that I think where the Clinton camp really decided to dismiss flyover country. Flyover country has not responded to that slight, and you're even seeing the bastion of Minnesota, which gave us such greats as Jesse Ventura and Stuart
and
Smalley.
Al Franken.
Yeah, and Stuart Smalley. So it's a pretty thin margin there. Wisconsin is going back and forth. But I'm like I said, if Clinton does not take back Mecklenburg County, which is near Charlotte, as well as Virginia, and Florida seems at this point is 94% of the vote in. Wow, it's going to be very difficult for her with that math, because I personally, my estimation did not have Virginia going to Trump, nor did it have Michigan.
I kind of always thought that Michigan and Ohio would sort of swing in Trump's favor, because those are two states that are manufacturing states that have been really hit hard by the downsizing and the corporate profit taking. And I guess it was about 3 weeks ago.
They came from NAFTA, right?
Absolutely, but there's still that great big. Very, very large Democrat freebie sort of mindset in large areas there. And then Michael Moore a couple weeks ago made a video, and I guess he's made a movie called In the Trump Land or something like that. But there's a about 4.5 minute stretch of that video where he explains the mind of the voter in the hard-hit areas of the Rust Belt, that was once the pride of American manufacturing. Or, it's a whole bunch of, well, honestly, some of these areas look like worse than Beirut in 1983. I mean, they're bombed out. They're vacant. They're whatever term you could use to describe the downtrodden and the falling apart city. That's what it is. And he basically said that Trump, whether he means it or not, stood up and said the thing that they wanted to hear, and they were going to go out and put the great big X in the box. And yeah, I kind of had a feeling that it was going to go that way. Truly, honestly, listening today to the horse's mouth, CNN, which could actually be confused with the horse's ass, the overriding theme today was the Hispanic vote was Mas Grande y Lo Mejor.
Mas Grande K2.
Yeah, and the black vote was down for Hillary. I'll tell you what, if Florida would be an interesting place to push the Hispanic vote theory, because in the last couple days, we've seen Hillary all over Florida. She drug out the chubby Miss Universe, Alicia Machado, who was just completely, absolutely appalled at being judged on her body by Donald Trump, let alone the fact, that she's a Miss Universe, and your job is to wear a bathing suit and look cute.
And not overdose on cheese puffs.
I'm telling you, some of that food is just, seriously, it's unforgiving. And I'll tell you, from a lose weight standpoint, if anybody's out there and they're, kind of getting to that point where they got to you shouldn't probably have that for dinner tonight. The easiest way to do it is to cut out tortillas. Stop eating tortillas.
all of my friends in San Antonio know that you're all good until you start getting the #2 beef and bean burrito with extra green sauce and cheese.
If you start getting that like 3 times a day, you will get fat, and then you will get new pants. So yeah, I don't know, man. I kind of was really interested in the fate of the Taco Bowl voter, and it doesn't appear that pitch seems to work in Florida right now. It didn't give her the over-the-top edge.
You're talking about a different Hispanic demographic. I mean, let's really get down to the chase. So you have the Hispanic voter that is in New Mexico, which is different than the Hispanic voter in Colorado, which is different than the Hispanic voter in Arizona, California, Texas. The Florida Hispanic voter can be one of many different flavors, since we're talking about taco bowls. Folks that are very near and dear to us, the Cuban population, which is largely patriotic Americans, as well as being overwhelmingly conservative, as well as some of the Dominicans. You know, there's quite a few ethnic groups in that South Florida area, as well as you've got some non-Hispanics, which do kind of tend to shake things up a little bit. That would be like saying, the New York Puerto Rican population is going to vote the same way as the Arizona Mexican American population. It doesn't jive to me. Different things motivate those.
And I think you've just described one of the downfalls of this this new, I guess, the new big tent that the Democratic Party was pushing this year. I truly feel that the Hispanic voters do not want to be lumped in with the black voters, and the black voters don't want to be lumped in with the Hispanic voters, and neither of them want to be lumped in with the gays.
Well, and here we go. We've got some news. Things are tightening up in Virginia with 90% of precincts reporting. We've got Donald Trump with 47.6 to Hillary Clinton's 47.3. He's got only a 13,000 vote lead, and you can probably rest assured that within Prince William County, Loudoun County, and Fairfax County, which are right near Washington D.C., those are the bedroom communities of Washington D.C. You can bet that there's 196 out of 244 precincts reporting in Fairfax, 24 of 92 in Prince William County, and 89 out of 94 in Loudoun. So there's some votes to make up for Hillary Clinton in Prince William County and in Fairfax. Loudoun County's almost done, and her lead, while at 15 points, Virginia may swing, and the population centers, which are the problem for any Republican
problem.
any Republican candidate doesn't tend to fare well in population centers where there's a large population of ethnic minorities. It doesn't work out. One thing I think you can safely say is that Donald Trump is outperforming the 2012 map in deference to Mitt Romney. I think that he is.
I'll make a comment on that. Last night, the voting started in a small New Hampshire town, Dixville Notch, which I think half of their claim to fame is they're the first place to vote, and the second half of their claim to fame is that they have a funny name. But CNN was crowing that Hillary had 4 votes, Trump had 2, Gary Johnson had 1, and there was a write-in vote from Mitt Romney. And last night at midnight, they were basically crowing that it was over and Trump should just send it in, and we see a completely different situation right now.
Yeah, certainly. And that was one of the things is that CNN, AP, and I believe the BBC even sent me out the post-midnight tweet that Hillary Clinton had won Dixville Notch. They didn't go ahead and respond 3 hours later when some of the other towns had started to get their votes in. And oh, by the way, we just got a late breaking news, Michael. It seems that the Republicans will retain control of the Senate. It seems right now that
that's a nice little bonus the gun owner, and with the worry about the changing of the honestly, the Supreme Court. That's one of the huge things.
What do you think? What do you think about John McCain letting slip that if Hillary Clinton were to be elected, that no way would the Republican Senate entertain any of her Supreme Court nominations?
I think John
letting the cat out of the bag, or was
John McCain is a crazy old man who probably shouldn't be in public. He should be given medication and taken care of in a place out of public view.
I would vote for the VA hospital personally.
You know what? Send him the one in Tucson. That should get him term to like practice at. You know.
Yeah. So we are so well endowed with the with the membership. If you can follow my drift there of following the election, we need to counter some political talk with some U.S. American rifle safety.
That's right. To all U.S. Americans, please consult the gun safety map, whether or not you have one. Rule number 1 is every firearm is loaded until you visually and physically inspect and ensure that it is not loaded. Rule number 2, keep the muzzle pointed in the safe direction at all times. Do not cover anything you do not intend to destroy. Rule number 3, know what is your target, know what's beyond your target at all times. And rule number 4, keep the booger hook off the bang switch until you are ready to discharge the weapon. We're in a tight spot. This thing isn't over, and you know it as well as I do that Dianne Feinstein is itching to hit the print button and print out another gun bill. She's waiting for it.
She's just waiting, and
she is. She's got her finger hovering over that button.
This is something that really throws a monkey wrench in the anti-gun lobby's plans, because, like I said, looking at the election map as it is right now, Wisconsin has just gone back red. Michigan is red. Ohio is red. Everything there is a break in what was being called the Democratic firewall. The northern tier states of Michigan and Wisconsin and Ohio, those are leaning Republican right now. It's interesting because, like I said, each one of those websites right now is updating within 30, 40 seconds of each other.
Excuse me.
And there's definite concern, I would say, building up right now in the Clinton campaign, because North Carolina, which had been at a sizable lead, as well as Pennsylvania started out the night 82% to 17, is now down to 56.8 to 39.9. So, like I said, New Hampshire has swung back in favor by a complete percentage point to Donald Trump, with 30% of precincts reporting. And, very interesting. New Hampshire is not a very big state, but those 4 electoral votes really could come in handy. And, Concord, Dover, and Nashua, which are the 3 major population centers in New Hampshire, 2 of those, Concord and Dover, are going for Clinton right now, and Hillsborough County, where Nashua and Manchester are going for Trump only by mere percentage points. And that's interesting, because whoever really thought New Hampshire, the live free or die state, would go and buck the trend of the Democratic blue.
Let's hope they keep to the live free or die. And honestly, in this situation, we're kind of screwed. There is no live free or die. I mean, I guess there is a die, but neither of these.
There is a pay taxes and die.
Right, but neither of these 2 candidates give us the option of live free. And to be honest with you, neither does Jill Stein nor Gary Spicoli. I mean, Gary Johnson.
Yeah.
By the way,
Gary Johnson needs the globe.
I'm telling you, Gary Johnson couldn't be class president of Ridgemont High.
Yeah.
What a sham this has been. I mean, seriously, America, if we've got 330 million people in this nation, and include the illegal aliens.
Because President Obama said that if you vote, you're a citizen, and nobody is going to come looking for you if you don't have papers.
Nobody's going to come looking for you until you don't have car insurance.
Well, and that's one of the things, honestly, that shocked me. I mean, put it this way: I don't believe that I pay the president's salary for him to be campaigning on behalf of a person who has flaunted ethics and has no morals. But like I said, it's one of those things where it's been incredible to me to see a seated president, a seated vice president act as campaign surrogates, because the candidate herself hasn't been able to bring in the numbers of voters that is going to be required for her to, overtake a challenger such as Donald Trump. I mean, and this is one of those things that I think, gosh, we've got two or 3 minutes before the bumper kicks us off, but I can tell you right now, when I started, I was less heartened than I am now, and not because I think Donald Trump is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I think he's a deeply flawed individual. I just
think that Hillary is Satan.
Exactly, and I think you hit the nail right on the head earlier. You weren't casting a vote for Donald Trump. You were casting a vote for not Hillary.
Right, and honestly,
probably
the loudest way to make that heard was to vote for Trump. And I mean, yeah, you could have voted for Johnson, or you could have voted for Stein, or you could have wrote in your dog's name or whatever. But then I mean, I don't know. We get into the whole thing about voting machines and all that. This may change my mind tonight. It may not, because in the end, you start getting into it really. And Trump and Hillary are cousins, right? They're both. You go back far enough, they're both related to King John. Trump's been donating to the Clinton Foundation for years. You don't donate to the Clinton Foundation unless you're dirty. You need something.
You don't donate to the Clinton Foundation unless you expect something in return.
Right. So I mean, there's all kinds of quid pro quo and pay to play and shit. Yeah, it's all dirty. All of it's dirty. And tonight might might be the greatest bread and circuses, the denouement to the bread and circuses. For the gun owner, it may just be a sigh of relief for a couple months.
Well, and that's the interesting thing. Is what do you think the actual trend? Because, like I said, I'm just looking right now, and it seems that Hillary Clinton has taken a 0.2 of a percentage point lead here in Virginia, which is what I expected. But Donald Trump has now opened up to nearly 3% in North Carolina. Do you think that the gun owner vote really came out today and said, you know what, we will rebuke your policy of taking away a God-given right such as guaranteed in our Constitution in favor of somebody who says he won't do that? Do you think that played a role this evening?
I think it does, and a good friend of the show and a guest on the show, Captain Gringo, really brought up a really hard-hitting point that stuck with me, and he said that honestly that the confiscation of firearms is the one issue that will galvanize the nation. It will cause the greatest schism, and it will create the most number of single issue voters. And I believe he's right. Now I don't know. I can't necessarily say, but honestly, I can't really say how much effect that had, because there is just so much absolute damn hatred for Hillary, and
it's 60% unfavorable viewing. So we're just in front of Michael. We're just in front of the bumper. I think it's going to be coming up here in a second. Wanted to give you the New York Times their little ping meter. Looking at live election results, they are predicting 63% up from 62 2 seconds ago for Trump to win the presidency, and 87% for the Republicans to control the Senate. Looking right now at Michigan holding steady with nearly 5% vote in Trump's favor, and 5% vote in Wisconsin. North Carolina with 2.7% percentage lead, and Florida with 1.3%. This hour flew by. We didn't get to pack much in about firearms today, and I apologize to our listeners for that. But Michael, I loved it, and good to talk with you.
Nick, it was wonderful. Everybody, thanks for sticking around. Throw a couple shekels Jules' way. She could use it. Everybody, thanks a lot. Stick around. Excellent radio tonight. Don't get it nowhere else. Thanks a lot, people.
Before you wish you for the good.
My name is S.M. Gibson, and I am the host